Welcome back, focused learners. Let's jump right into today's explainer. We are embarking on a really fascinating and honestly foundational journey. We're going to move right past all those superficial life hacks and quick fixes that just flood our daily feeds, and instead, we're diving deep into the actual mechanics of genuine, lasting personal growth.
So, let's kick things off with a question I know we've all faced at some point. Why is it that our endless diets, those trendy communication tricks, and rigid time management hacks so often fail? Seriously, why do they usually just leave us feeling totally exhausted and, well, fundamentally unchanged? To answer that, we really have to ground this explainer in a truly landmark piece of work. Stephen R. Covey's The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. But here's the secret. Before we can even touch those famous 7 habits, we absolutely have to unpack the fundamental core of his work, which is this whole inside-out philosophy. Now, think about the modern symptoms of our hustle culture. We're seeing massive burnout, a total lack of work-life balance, rebellious teenagers, stalled marriages, you name it. Covey actually shared a deeply relatable anecdote about his own son who was really struggling with baseball. He was swinging the bat before the ball was even pitched and getting laughed at by the other kids. Covey and his wife were desperate to help, right? So they tried to fix his skills using these superficial, positive mental attitude techniques. They'd cheer, "Come on, son, you can do it!" But it felt completely hollow. And worse, it communicated to the boy that he needed protecting. Those quick fix techniques entirely failed. So why did Covey default to those positive thinking tricks in the first place? Well, he realized the answer lay in 200 years of success literature. From 1776 up until World War I, American success literature focused entirely on deep character. But post-World War I, a massive shift occurred. The focus pushed almost entirely onto personality and public image. Let's starkly contrast these two for a second. The personality ethic is all about quick fixes. It's PR techniques, it's slapping on fake smiles to win friends, using manipulative influence strategies, and applying these little social band-aids to chronic wounds. It's frantic and it's totally superficial. Now, compare that to the character ethic. This is the foundation of integrity, humility, patience, and industry. These are calm, deep, completely unshakable roots. To really drive this difference home, Covey uses a visceral metaphor. You can't cram on a farm. Think about it. In an artificial system like a school, you might be able to cram the night before a test and get an A. But on a farm, that's a natural system subject to the law of the harvest. You literally cannot forget to plant in the spring, goof off all summer, and then frantically cram your farming in the fall and expect to reap a harvest. There's no way. You can't fake primary goodness with human relations techniques any more than you can fake a harvest. Which brings us to a really critical definition, a paradigm. A paradigm is essentially a mental map of how we see the world. And I don't mean with our eyes, but how we perceive, understand, and interpret it. It's the absolute source of how we think and how we act. Let me give you a brilliant analogy to explain this. Imagine you're trying to navigate to a specific spot in central Chicago. But because of a printing error, you were handed a map of Detroit. Now, you can try harder. You can double your speed. But your efforts are just going to get you to the wrong place faster. You can have a positive attitude, and hey, maybe you'll be happy while you're lost. But you are still lost. The fundamental problem isn't your behavior or your attitude. It's that your map of reality is completely wrong. So I have to ask you, are you sure your mental map is objective? Do you assume the way you see things is just the way they really are? Let's actually test your perception and your conditioning right now. Take a look at what's in front of you. What is your brain telling you? How old is she? What does she look like? Now, a lot of you will immediately see a young, fashionable woman in her mid-20s. She's got a petite nose, she's looking away, and she's wearing a necklace. You might even think about hiring her as a fashion model. Okay, now let's shift the perspective. Look closely. Who is this? This can be a pretty jarring realization because many others immediately see a sad, older woman in her 60s or 70s. She has a large hook nose and she's wearing a shawl. She looks like someone you might help cross the street. And this brilliantly illustrates a famous Harvard Business School experiment. When half a room is conditioned for just 10 seconds with the young woman and the other half with the old woman, and then they're shown a composite image, they will fiercely argue over what they're looking at. Both are looking at the exact same black lines and white spaces. It proves that our objective reality is highly conditioned. We see the world not as it is, but as we are.
To show you just how powerfully this dictates our lives, let's shift to a visceral real-world example. Set the scene for a second. A peaceful Sunday morning on a New York subway. People are quietly resting, reading the paper. Suddenly, a man enters with his children. The kids are loud, rambunctious, yelling back and forth, even grabbing people's papers. It's entirely disruptive. Yet the father just sits there with his eyes closed, completely oblivious, doing absolutely nothing. Imagine the irritation building inside you. You can feel that highly relatable frustration, right? Finally, with what feels like unusual patience, Covey turns to the man and confronts him. "Sir, your children are really disturbing a lot of people. I wonder if you couldn't control them a little more." The man lifts his gaze, almost like he's waking up, and says softly, "Oh, you're right. I guess I should do something about it. We just came from the hospital, where their mother died about an hour ago. I don't know what to think, and I guess they don't know how to handle it either." Just let the emotional weight of that sit for a second. That is the devastating, instantaneous power of a paradigm shift. Look at the mechanics of this aha moment. In an instant, the paradigm shifts and you see the situation differently. Because you see differently, you immediately feel differently. That irritation vanishes into pure compassion. And because you feel differently, you behave differently. You don't have to force a polite behavior trick. Quantum change doesn't come from forcing behavior. It flows naturally the exact second our core paradigm shifts. To understand what we should actually anchor our paradigms to, imagine a furious battleship captain on maneuvers in heavy fog. A light is spotted dead ahead on a collision course. The captain signals, "Change your course 20 degrees." The light signals back, "Advisable for you to change course 20 degrees." Enraged, the captain signals back, "I am a battleship. Change course 20 degrees." And back through the fog comes the flashing light. "I'm a lighthouse." The captain, of course, changes his course. Because while our paradigms are our subjective maps, principles are immovable realities. So the absolutely crucial point here is that true principles are exactly like lighthouses: fairness, integrity, honesty, human dignity, service. These are natural, self-evident laws woven right into the fabric of every enduring society. You cannot break these laws. You can only break yourself against them. Which brings us to the end of our explainer today, and I want to leave you with a deeply provocative thought from Thoreau. He said, "For every 1,000 hacking at the leaves of evil, there is one striking at the root." So I challenge you today. Are you just hacking at the leaves with quick fix life hacks and personality tricks, or are you ready to strike at the root? Examine your own paradigms, align yourself with true principles, and achieve real inside-out change. Think about it. Thanks for exploring this with me today.